What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. Irelia is a champion that was actually released almost 6 years ago, and compared to a lot of the other champions that were released around that time, she actually hasn't received all that many changes. Recently though, Riot have been targeting these champions with older kits and seeing if they can reimaginate them in a way that's going to make them feel a lot more modern and just a lot more awesome. And of course this is a video about Irelia, so we can't make a video about Irelia without bringing on the YouTube Irelia expert. So welcome to the show, my man Gbay99. He's going to be joining us in the video today to help us talk about the future rework of Irelia. And if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button and let's get started. So from what Riot have said about Irelia's rework so far, it actually sounds like she's in a very similar situation to Warwick. So Irelia is one of those champions in sort of like the category that Riot categorizes of champions who really just have so much potential for their archetype, like so much room for improvement, not necessarily that she's a champion that has problems. And for Warwick, this was about him being this really cool bloodthirsty werewolf sort of guy, and that's a really awesome character trope for Riot to have a champion for. And for Irelia, it's of course all about the telekinetic control over her blades. And I mean, there's probably not many ideas for a character that are just more badass than a martial artist that slices people up without even touching her weapon. I mean, when you think about it like that, you definitely have to admit that the archetype Irelia has really just has so much room for potential, room for improvement. You know, her kit, her design could be so much cooler thematically. She's just not really living up to her fantasy. And from the sounds of it, she's getting a full visual gameplay update later on, meaning that all of her art assets, all of her skins are getting a fresh coat of paint alongside a full gameplay update. And since the gameplay part of an update is always going to be the most important part, let's pass it over to Gbay to talk about Irelia's future gameplay. So Gbay, what are your thoughts on Irelia right now, and is there anything you think Riot should work on or perhaps leave alone?
When it comes to Irelia's kit in its current state, a lot of Irelia mains will say that she's pretty okay right now. She has smooth gameplay, simple abilities with plenty of depth, and she certainly isn't any more out of date than the other older champions out there like Warwick, Nunu, Urgot, or Galio. It's puzzling to a lot of us Irelia mains why Riot would want to rework her right now when so many other older champions need attention, while Irelia has some pretty fun and smooth gameplay already. For instance, the number one thing a lot of people love about her, myself included, is her Q ability, Blade Surge, that lets you constantly reset its cooldown instantly as long as you deal the killing blow to whatever enemy minion or champion you're targeting. The level of punishment you feel when you fail to get a reset, along with the excitement when you chain together a pentakill, makes this ability feel like something that should hopefully never be changed. The rest of her kit though can seem a little bit bland and has a few inherent design flaws. She has extra tenacity with her passive that doesn't really have any way to play around it, and of course her E stuns opponents instead of slowing them if she's being attacked and taking damage, making it hard to play against an Irelia that has any sort of lead. I hear complaints about these two abilities a lot, and I can understand Riot maybe wanting to change them, but I think it's important for Riot to understand, even if these abilities are flawed in that they reward you for doing stuff like taking damage or fighting outnumbered, it draws a lot of Irelia players to the champion and develops this go ham all the time kind of playstyle, which would be a shame to see it disappear entirely. These are probably the abilities Riot has a problem with and might be the first they look to change, but they'll hopefully do it in a smart way that they don't anger every Irelia player out there.
It definitely really seems like Riot are sharing that similar view on Irelia, with her Q being a really cool way to capture her fantasy, but the rest of her kit isn't exactly lining up with it. You know, Irelia's Blade Surge does an awesome job of getting people interested in the gameplay, but really that's how her whole entire kit should feel. She's got this epic background, such a cool niche all to herself, so hopefully the rework's definitely going to be directed at that. One of the more notable Rioter quotes we found on the topic from Riot Repertoire, who pretty much shares the same sentiment that Gbay has about Blade Surge, and he kinda hinted at what we can expect by saying that he would totally get rid of Irelia's passive, her W, probably change her ultimate honestly, and parts of her E, but that does mean that they do plan on keeping her Q pretty much the same, unless they can kind of find a way to build on it further. So apparently Riot Repertoire is almost as big of a fan of Irelia as Gbay is, I mean at least of her Q. And from what he said, it sounds like a total redesign might be in order, and Riot Repertoire even went a step further and mentioned that Irelia could be an awesome candidate for someone that uses her blades to attack 2 targets at once, which would be such a really cool and interesting mechanic and could be a super awesome way to build on the telekinesis blade control theme. I mean, one of the huge limitations of holding a melee weapon is that you're kind of just limited to attacking 1 target at a time because it's a melee weapon, and Irelia could definitely be a good call for a character in League that could engage multiple targets using her telekinesis blades, and that's pretty much what she does in the lore as well, so it all fits really well.
So when it comes to potential new abilities, I would think that for starters, Riot would want to leave Blade Surge as it is, but they can tweak a lot of the other abilities, maybe just making small changes to some of Irelia's more iconic ones. Like her E is a big problem and something a lot of people hate playing against. It's a point-and-click stun where it lasts up to 2 seconds at rank 5, and you can't really play against it if you have less health than Irelia. So seeing that change to maybe a skill shot, or better yet, seeing the stun scale, so where if Irelia has just a little less health than her opponent, the stun isn't as effective, but if you're at your last third of your health while your opponent's life bar is at full, you get a much longer stun. This is an idea that a number of other Irelia mains have thrown out since the announcement, and I think it goes to show that a lot of us aren't completely opposed to a rework or changing certain abilities. Some tweaks here and there would probably be healthy. Irelia would be banned much less and we could get our champion more in ranked, but those tweaks have to keep the champion's identity there. We play Irelia because she's this champion where you can go and get crazy cool 1v1 kills or have fun outplays based off of your knowledge and mechanics. She provides a lot of depth for her kit as a top laner despite being so simple, where a lot of other top laners out there, it's a role where you see all these people just playing face roll tanks. A lot of us play her because we don't just want to be another one of those passive face roll tanks, so hopefully whatever changes or tweaks Riot makes won't affect her style.
And I definitely have to agree with that. I think taking Irelia's concept and turning it into something new that kind of does like the archetype a lot more justice definitely is going to be the right way to go for her rework. So hopefully Riot can pull it off, because the ideas that Riot repertoire bouncing around do look very promising, and the direction that they're taking Irelia seems to be pretty interesting. Either way, that's just about going to wrap up what we know and we think so far about the future rework of Irelia, as well as what you can expect. And definitely a huge thanks to Gbay for joining me and sharing his Irelia thoughts and his Irelia knowledge. So definitely check out his channel in the description or with the annotation on your screen. And if you guys have any cool ideas about Irelia's future rework, or if you maybe just want to talk about something we mentioned, definitely let us know in the comment section below. And looks like that's going to be it for me. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.